So is the grimly titled How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies actually a heartwarming, wonderful family story? Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, which came to theaters on September 13th, 2024. It is a Thai family kind of drama coming of age story that it has this interesting title, but wow, is it such a good movie? But wow, it is such a good movie. I definitely think you should watch it. It is just a beautiful, heartfelt, kind of like slow paced, slice of life type film that has this really wonderful cast, a really nice, slow build. It definitely takes its time. You get a really good picture of like the family and the situation that's happening, and it just has a fantastic ending. I love this movie. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was definitely a slow movie. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you kind of stick with it, there's a lot to love here. So I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I like. There really wasn't anything I didn't like about it, and quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are a lot of surprises along the way. I would turn off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Let's try to get to the spoilers. So, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies tells the story of this family where a grandmother is diagnosed with cancer, and the scheming, grandson decides that he's going to move in and care for her in the hopes that she will leave him a lot in her will. Does she do this? Does this plan work? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. First, I love, and this is a weird one. I love how much I disliked the kid. Like, and that's the point. You're supposed to not like him at the start. He's kind of a mess up. He's complicated and selfish, but they do a really good job of kind of like showing that, and then also making some of his, emotions seem mixed as this film progresses. Second thing I love the music. It is beautiful, beautiful music. Just wonderful, wonderful music. It is a kind of like slow burn family drama, a little bit slice of lifey. So the good music is important. It definitely helps to set the tone. Now, the third thing I love the cast. I liked the son a lot. I thought he was a good character, but I love the cast a lot. I especially like the grandma. She is a fun character. She's very kind of like matter of the fact, very Asian, grandma. Like, she doesn't have a filter. She says what she thinks, and she's definitely kind of like active in her old age. So she's a fun character to see. The fourth thing I love the really slow build up. There is a lot of groundwork set here as you meet the family. You see all the people that are in like Among's life and things like that, and so. Definitely, this film takes its time. It doesn't rush anything, which is really good. It really gives you a good feel for all the characters. And the last thing I love the ending. I thought the ending was really well done. It definitely kind of threw you for some loops, but overall, I love the way that the film ended. So that is How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. It's in theaters right now. It came to theaters on September 13th, 2024. Definitely check it out if you can see it. If it's in your area, it is a really wonderful film. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So at the start, we see the grandma. Her name is Ama, or they sometimes call her Ma. She is visiting the graves of her parents, and she is starting to wonder like what will happen to her. And we get introduced to the family. There are three kids. The grandma has three kids, and I will butcher all their names. There's Kyung, who is like I think the oldest kid. He is a little more successful, but he seems to only care about success. He does seem to care about his mother, but doesn't visit her very much, and his family never visits too. Then there is M's mother. And in the credits, she's M's mother. I forget what her actual name is, but she is kind of I think she's the middle child. She seems to be like the most genuine. She seems to actually take care of her mother, but she's also very busy. She's working, to support her family, so she doesn't get to see her as much. And then there is Soe. I think he's the youngest. He is a mess up. He is terrible. He gambles. He's selfish. He just is awful, but he is fun sometimes. So I guess there's that. And then uh there's M, who is the grandson. He is also a mess up. He's a kid. He just wants to play video games. Doesn't really want to like see his grandma. Doesn't want to like go there. He doesn't have like a job. He doesn't seem to have much ambition. He just wants to like play video games and become a streamer. Hey, look, you know what? Chase that dream, buddy. Make that YouTube channel. Make that money. But in this movie, he's not doing that well. So all this turns around when Alma gets diagnosed with cancer, and it's stage 4 cancer. They didn't detect it before, and now she has about a year to live. And this changes a lot of the family. They all start wanting to go see her, but they don't want to tell her what's going on. Now around this time, M meets up with his cousin. I think it's his cousin Mui, who's taking care of Agong, who I think is also part of their family. He might be Ama's husband, but they split up after. I think I'm not 100% sure because I didn't really get the family dynamics very well, but Agong is part of the family as well, and Mui is M's cousin. She's taking care of him, and she takes good care of him. She does a good job. M goes over to help fix the TV, and while he's there, he finds out that she is like trying to take care of him in order to get the inheritance. She wants his house so that she can sell it and get a lot of money. It seems like she moved in to take care of him to make sure that this would happen. And when Agong finally dies, he does leave her the house, and so she sells it. She takes the money and kind of moves on. And this makes M interested in this as well. So he decides to move into Ama's house, take care of her in the hopes of doing this. He also gets, some hints from Mui occasionally throughout the movie, like they'll talk about what's going on, but M moves in and he like I said, I didn't like him a lot. Like, and that's the point. You're supposed to not like him. So it's not like anything wrong with the character, not anything wrong with the acting. It's a good job. He just kind of sucks. Like he does everything half-ass. He doesn't like help his mother very much. He does help Ama, but it's always for selfish reasons. And at the start, he goes very half-assed. But as he spends more time with her, he does genuinely seem to like her. And it's this like constant push and pull with his character that I love. Like it seems like he is enjoying the time. It seems like he is, actually taking care of Ama. But then he'll go and talk to Mui about how he wants to make sure that he's like number one, so he gets this house as the inheritance and things like that. It is a complicated relationship, but as time progresses, it seems like he does actually have an interest in like, in Ama and like getting to know her and taking care of her. So as he's living there, she starts to integrate him into her life. She like makes this like rice porridge called congee, and she sells it like every Sunday. So he goes to help her sell, even though he has to wake up much earlier than he wants to. He goes to help her sell. He takes care of her. He bathes her. He starts learning how to make congee so he can like sell it when she's gone. Things like that. And eventually, her oldest son Kyung tries to like get Ama to move in with her. And this is an interesting like push and pull scene because M is trying to convince her to stay at her home so he can keep taking care of her. And you can't really tell if this is like him being selfish, which I think it is, but I also think he, wants to take care of her and wants her to keep doing the things that she loves. If she moves out with King, she's not going to be able to go to her chemotherapy appointments easily. She's not going to be able to sell congee. She's not going to like have her friends. And so it is this like weekend where they go out to see him. They go to like a temple and whatnot. And eventually, M convinces her to stay in her house. So he keeps taking care of her. His care is getting better. He is like trying, I think, but there's always this like thought in the back of your mind that he's just doing this because he wants her house. And I think Ama does like appreciate this too. Like he at some points will say like, "Oh, your other kids are just trying to like, sow their seeds now to reap the rewards." And at one point she asks him like, "Isn't that what you're doing?" And he kind of evades it. But I think Ama knows what is going on. But she probably appreciates the care. He is the only one that is there all the time. He's the only one that is there helping to take care of her. So their relationship does start to grow, does start to get better. Now, at one point, Ama every week will go and sell congee and then like put the money in this little, container in her cabinet. And at one point, that money disappears, and she initially blames Em. He's like, "I didn't take it. I didn't take it." And they look at this camera that Em installed, for I think for security or something like that earlier, and they see who took it. It was the youngest son, Soy. He sucks. He sucks throughout the movie, but he has a bunch of gambling debts, and so I guess he took the money to try to like pay off the debts. And eventually M confronts him and says like, "What are you doing? Like, why would you take money? Like, she has to work so hard to get that money. Why would you take it?" So again, you can see that M does actually care. He appreciates what uh Ama is doing, and like he confronts his uncle about it. And eventually he just like gives his uncle some of the things that he inherited from Agong. It was like a silver bracelet and then a silver belt that his mom inherited. He gives it to his uncle, says like, "Here, sell this. You'll get a good price. Stay away." So I think he's trying to like pay off his uncle to stay away so that he won't get any of the inheritance and it'll go more to M. But again, he is trying to also protect his grandma because his uncle did steal from her. So at one point, Ama goes to visit her older brother, who lives in this nice house, seems to be doing well, and she asks him for some money. She wants to get a burial plot, like a nice burial plot, which I guess will extend her life. Like there's a lot of like Thai like religious and spiritualism in this movie that I didn't understand. It wasn't part of my culture, but it does seem like she wants to buy this like big burial plot. There's like big burial plot is part of her like overall plan. She wants it to extend her life. She wants it to like help with fortunes for her children. She wants a nice place for people to visit when she's older. And her brother just flat out refuses. He's a jerk about it. She basically is like, you got the house when mom and dad died. Like, you didn't give me a penny of it. I've never asked for anything. Like, this is what I'm asking for. And he's like, well, I should have gotten the house because they gave it to me and that was right. And I'm like, you suck. Like, he just sucks throughout. But it's like a lot of people in Amon's life suck. So she doesn't get anything from him. They go back home. And now we also see why Amma is kind of alone. Her brother sucks. Her kids are all very busy or they suck. And so she just kind of like lives all by herself. And now she just lives with M. Now, eventually they go to the doctor after, I think, a couple rounds of chemo. I think it's the second round of chemo. And the doctor says that her condition hasn't improved. So there's really nothing else they can do. They shouldn't do any more chemo. They should just like focus on spending time with her. And the other part of the family want to like hide it from her. The same thing they want to do with the cancer. They wanted to hide it from her, but M told her what was going on. And now they want to hide it as well. They want to be like, "Oh, you're all fine. You don't have to go back anymore." And M like basically, and she like looks at M and is like, "Is that true?" And M kind of like tell tells his mom to tell her essentially. Like M is kind of looking out for her best interest in this case. Now, after this condition looks bad, the kids are starting to like ask about the deed to her house. And I was like, dude, she's not even dead. Like, what are you doing? But I guess they think that the transfer will be easier when she's alive. So eventually they find the deed, and we find out that Amma gave the house to Uncle Soy, the useless one, the lame one. I guess she, thought that he needed it. Like no one was gonna help him out, so this was the way to help him. And so poor M, he doesn't get the house, but then he kind of is a jerk to her. Like he's arguing with her about like, didn't I take good care of you? Blah blah blah. But man, like, look, you took a gamble. Like his uncle's a gambler. They played cards. Like you took a gamble, you tried, you didn't get it, but like I don't know, don't soil everything now. Like at least spend some time with your grandma that you seem to have affection for. But he is kind of a jerk to her, and he left. So eventually, we find out that Soy sold the house before she was dead. Like he sucks. And he sold the house. Now she has to go into a nursing home. And M, because he still has that camera that he set up, can see like them packing up all their stuff, moving out of her house, and like moving her out of this place, which is a shitty way to end your life. Like this is the place she's lived in her entire life. She doesn't get to die here. So he sends her to a nursing home. And after M finds this out, he goes to visit her. And when he gets there, we see Soy coming out and he says, like, hey, all my debts are paid off. And there's a little extra left from the house. And he tries to give it to M. And M is like, no, I don't want that. Like, no one's going to help you anymore. You need this more than I do, which is nice. Like that's good for M to do that. Probably should have still taken the money. He could use the money, but anyways, M goes there. He takes care of Amma. There's some really sweet things that he does here that were like references to earlier in the movie. He like unbuttons her bottom button of her shirt because she said that she didn't like it being too tight. She liked it being loose. He like reads to her and sings to her. It's very, very sweet. And then eventually he convinces her to come live with his mom so that she can like live in a house and they can be there and take full-time care of her. So on Chinese New Year, she is not looking that great. Ma looks like she's not doing that great. Everyone comes to visit her. It seems like maybe this is kind of it. And then later that night when she's asleep, M sneaks up to her and like sings to her. And another very sweet scene. Like M does redeem himself in this movie. So he sings to her, and then that's kind of the last scene we see with her because then we find out that Ma dies. There is a funeral, and at the funeral, M gets a call. And we find out that M left a bank account with a lot of money in it for him. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I never opened a bank account. And then we get a flashback. As this is happening, a train goes by and M like has a flashback to when he was growing up. And we see he's a little kid. He's walking with his grandma. They're walking to the bank and they're talking. And she's like, you got first in your class. So, I'm going to open a bank account for you and put money in there for you. I'm going to keep putting money in there. And M's like, put money in there for the rest of your life, please. And she's like, why would you ask me that? He's like, I want to buy you a new house. Your house is like old and scary and gross. Like, I want to buy you a new house. So there's a few things here. One, like we see that Ma like took care of him even when he was younger. She's been giving money to him ever since that he didn't even realize. He didn't even remember this, but she's been doing it because, she did this when she was a kid and he's been doing it ever since. We also see that maybe when M said this might be one of the reasons why Amma didn't give him the house because maybe she remembered that he didn't like it and she didn't want to like burden him with that. That could be it. I'm not sure. It could also be that her son needed it more and that was the easiest way to help him out and make sure that he paid off his debts and at least had a chance to get better. I don't think he's going to get better. It seems like he's probably just going to waste it all away, but she tried. But we also see that Ama really did care about him. She left him this account that he had completely forgotten about, and now he has a good amount of money. And after this call, after he remembers this, he basically says like, "I want to withdraw everything and close the account." And you're like, "Well, that's weird. What's he going to do with this?" Well, we eventually have the funeral. They carry the coffin to a truck, and then all the family gets in the truck and they drive her to the funeral plot. And M's mom tells him to keep like knocking on the coffin and saying what's going on. And so like he's like knocking and telling her where they're going, like, oh, we're going by your old house, oh, we're going by the fields, things like that. And all the other family members seem to be really sad, but M seems to be okay with this. I think he was okay. Like he spent time with his grandma. He established a relationship with her, and so I think he's at peace. But eventually, he knocks there and says, "We've arrived at the house I bought for you." And that's when it seems like it hits him. He like starts to cry a little bit. It's like he's smiling but also crying. I think it's like a wave of emotion. But we find out that he used that money to buy her a big plot of land, something she's been talking about her entire time. None of the other kids did. M did. And so now she has like a nice funeral plot. It looks kind of like a hobbit hole. I guess that maybe that's where, that's how Thai funerals are, but it's a place for the family to come, visit her, show remembrance, and then it's like they spread flowers on top of her grave and whatnot. So M did this. Like he took the money that she saved up and she did buy her a new home just like he promised when he was a kid. So it's a very sweet ending. It is very cute. And at the very end, they are there celebrating her life and they are dumping flowers on top of her plot. And M dumps it the way that she doesn't like it because he basically was like, she was like, if you dump the flowers like that, I'm gonna come back and haunt you. And so I think he's doing this both to like as a joke and also maybe he misses his grandma, maybe he wants her to come back. After he dumps them like that, he spreads them nicely, and a breeze picks up, and he kind of like looks up, and I think he thinks that his grandma's presence is there. So again, really sweet ending, really great way for this to come around. But that is How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. Like I said, it's a really good movie. It's very sweet, it's very slow. If you're not interested in a slow movie and like a slow burn family drama, you might not like this, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. So definitely check it out in theaters on September 13th, 2024. If you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.